Please take your seats, everybody. Please take your seats. Welcome to the Lindsay and District Chamber of Commerce All Candidates meeting. I'm Roderick Benz, President of the Lindsay Chamber. Executive Director Alyssa Adams wishes she could attend tonight and in fact organize this event, but could not be here, so they sent in the B team leader. I'm joined by the Chamber's Vice President Don McCall and Director Waylon Skinner, who are definitely part of the A team, and they'll be pleased to help you with any questions this evening. We have 5 questions that have been sent from the small business community. There will be no opportunity tonight for questions from the floor, but don't worry, if you have a question for the candidates, you will have plenty of time to ask them after the Q&A, since we've built more meet and greet time in afterwards. Please know that anyone, whether a candidate or attending citizen who acts disrespectful in any way, will be asked to leave. We appreciate your attendance tonight, and a genuine thank you to all the candidates, everyone you see, who have taken it upon themselves to run in this election. So we're just going to go from left to right in terms of the first question. These questions are taken from the small business community, feedback that we received. And then we will start with the second candidate and so on down the line. Candidates will have 2 minutes for the responses. Waylon will be timing the candidates, and he will give you a warning when it's time to wrap up your remarks. First question is for Doug Elmsley first, and this comes from the Peterborough-Kawartha Home Builders Association. How will you foster development to meet the province of Ontario's growth plan and accommodate the growing population when dissent from local residents is the loudest voice at public meetings for these developments?
Thank you very much. Welcome everybody tonight. Thanks for coming. I'm not sure quite what to think of the question, because we do need development, and we do need houses, and we do need rental accommodation for a great many folks. We need affordable housing. We need attainable housing. We need housing for young people. And a lot of our housing is starting at $500,000 and more, and I don't know how that's affordable or attainable. That doesn't answer the question. I think what needs to be done is that we need to see interest rates get lowered. We need to see inflation get put under control before much of this can happen. I think we need sustainable development, responsible development, and that means it has to happen in a managed way such that all of our infrastructures grow at the same time. And that includes roads, other infrastructure. It includes police, fire, ambulance, medical services, libraries, parks, and everything else. So we need to have managed growth. And if we get that kind of managed growth, we can achieve those targets, but we may not achieve them in the timeline specified. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Pat Dunn?
So the question was how to close the gap between the people that are living here and the development. Is that what that's kind of what I understood the question to be? Yeah, okay.
And how local, yeah.
Okay, a lot of it's just communications. Have the developers talk to the people in the areas that they're developing. And that goes a long way to soothing any angst. As a council, and I'm going to use a couple of specific examples. Tribute Homes, they want to punch the road through at Richard, and they want to punch it through at David. A conversation with the developers, Sue, to the best of my knowledge, it hasn't quite gone through council yet, but that question was resolved. It was resolved through communications. The bill down on Walker Street is going to be resolved because everybody talks to each other, and you've got to stand up and defend the people that are here, but by the same standards, you've got to be strong enough that if that development has to go through, find a compromise. And it's all about finding compromise, what works for everybody or for the greatest number of people. That's how I would resolve that difference. I don't find people that, if you talk to them and listen to them, that they have a big issue. Development, we got to get smaller houses. I'm pushing for that 12 to 1,400 foot house. Developers are starting to come online. Tribute Homes is putting in granny suites in some of the homes they're building, so that when the kids get into the homes, they can, that first couple of years, they can have granny or they can have a boarder downstairs until they get over that hump. Because as soon as you buy a house, everybody here that's ever owned a home knows the routine. You buy your house, you pay your lawyer's fees, you haven't got a penny in your pocket. And that first 3 or 4 years, you just got to, you need some help, and that's probably the way we're going to do it. Thank you.
Rather than me jumping up each time, if you could just state your name before your answer. Thank you, Catherine.
Hi, I'm Kathleen Seymour Fagan, and thanks for the question, and thank you all for coming here and taking time out on a Monday night. So I understand that people don't want change, and I think that's the biggest thing. It's scary. They don't know what's happening in the area. And I think Pat Dunn actually said it correctly, communication. If we don't have communication, people don't understand. They get scared and they think it might be something that it's not going to be. You know, I think within the city as a municipality, what we also do is have some parameters, have certain housing that's required, have certain businesses that are to come in, and not just kind of do the willy-nilly developments that people have seen here and which have scared them. So I think it's important to work within the community and make sure that it's, that people are happy with the kind of development that is happening here. Because we are a collection of small towns and villages. We're not a big city. So it's definitely a different type of building that we need here, and we need to have community consultation, not just top down and being put on to what the people are. But if we don't have development, your taxes will continue to go up. I think that that's important because people want to have all sorts of services and they want to have everything and the roads done. But if we do not have more people come and live here, then we will not be saving any money on our taxes. So I think that people need to realize that. And if you have good communication with people and with the developers, I think that's key. If we can move forward that way, that's my idea with what we can do for development.
Hello, everybody. Faye McGee. This is going to sound repetitive because I actually don't disagree with much that the others have said. I think development is necessary, but I also think communication is a major part of it. That's what happens. You need to talk to the taxpayers. You need to let them know what's going on. Have meetings, consult with them. Make sure the council knows what's going on. You also have to make sure that development, there's water and sewage and so on, but there's a lot that goes with it. It doesn't just happen overnight. But I also don't want developers being allowed to skip stages in process of the guidelines and the rules. There's got to be a council in there strong enough that's going to make sure all rules and regulations are followed right through the whole process. So I said I think it's important that we do grow, but we also need to look at, the same as what's been said, the housing that we're building. Not everybody can afford these big mansions. There's got to be housing that other people can afford. Smaller homes, whether it's younger people or whether it's seniors, whatever the case is. We need different types of developments around our communities, right from here to Seabright to Fowler's Corners and everywhere. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jim Riches. I'm running for mayor as well. Thanks to the Chamber of Commerce for putting this together, and thank you for coming out. This is part of the process that we need more of. I agree with pretty much everything they're saying, but there's one thing that we need to bring to light. If you do any Googling, voteforjim.ca is where all my platform and everything about me. I want to run a modern campaign, so it's online. Vote for the number 4 Jim. The thing that we don't know about is if you Google land development in Ontario, you'll find out how lucrative it is to invest in land development, because there is a mandate now from the province saying we're building houses. There is so many pop-up land developers forming companies, and they have no idea what they're doing. But they know if they form it and the government is a partner, they will make money. They have to then take the investment that they get from P3s and other public partnerships. All the organizations that make money, like the investment funds for the nurses, all the hedge funds, everybody wants to invest in this new model, which is growth through houses. We have to manage that better, because we don't want some mom and pop coming in who used to be a plumber and a nurse building 2,000 houses because they think they can make money. We got to get tried, tested, and true. Tarion approved, because Tarion is the one that pays them back if they fail. And we got to make sure that they're accountable for the past developments that they have. Have a little search into what they built before they start ruining the land that we have a finite amount of in this community. And then, of course, my whole platform is about community centers and building the community back. We got to have stuff for people who buy these houses when they're struggling with their mortgage to keep them busy so they don't go crazy spending their hard-earned dollars on property. And the city as a whole has increased their ability to manage through the bylaws they've amalgamated. So there's a better answer solution for people. If you have questions, the city planning department actually can give you answers now. So if you want to build something, if you're not a land developer, you have opportunities to get answers now. So that's something that the city's doing right. Thank you.
Very good.
I'm a little shorter. Good evening. Glad to see so many people out. I'm Bill. I have to go by William. That's my legal name. I operate a business, and if I'm lucky to become the mayor, I think the first thing what we need to do is hold a round table meetings with the developers, the suppliers, the people that are going to build that infrastructure. Because without an infrastructure, you can't build a city. So I put together a 13-point plan that I think will achieve that without very little problems. The problem that we've had here over the last 20 years is they've never stopped and thought, what do we want to do and what do we want to become as a city? And if you travel as much as what I do a lot to the GTA, I've been to China a few times, you see that the world around is growing, and it's growing fast. If you drive down to Oshawa, I remember E.P. Taylor Farms. Most of you should remember that. It's all gone. They're moving this way. And the only way that we're going to take advantage of that is to collectively decide what we want and then put a plan in place and aim towards that plan. My envision is in 10 to 20 years, we have a city with over 200,000 people. We have all the Best Buys, the Walmarts, everything here. You don't need to leave. It's all going to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. With this question, we will start with Pat Dunn and end with Doug Elmsley. This question comes from Habitat for Humanity. Habitat has recently completed a 41-unit condo project in the city of Peterborough, and has shown with their partnership agreements that they can have a major impact in helping to supply much-needed units for affordable home ownership. How will you support and advocate for a municipal system in Kawartha Lakes that would remove zoning barriers to affordable housing and streamline the development process for Habitat and other nonprofit entities and the building community?
Thank you. I had the conversation with the executive director of Habitat. The biggest thing they need is land. When we're dealing with our developers and they're looking for ways that they can help the community so that they can get their zoning, there's always a hook there. We always go back to the affordable housing. By helping by having them making donations to Habitat, by encouraging them to do that, they would meet their obligations. Habitat would build the homes and would help us meet our obligations to provide housing. So that's one of the routes I would take. Zoning, if there's a common mind on council, can actually move fairly quickly.
we just need that, we need that common vision on our planning committees, we need that common vision with council, and that's up to you folks. You get to, we're electing at bare minimum of 5 new councillors. Vet them well, disregard the promises, let's see what they're going to do, and let's talk about affordable housing and attainable housing, because that's where we need to go. The zoning problem is not as big an issue as it is. We can get around that, so that's what I would do.
Hi again, I'm Kathleen. So I know that Habitat ran into some problems in Bobcaygeon, and there were some zoning issues there. It took them a lot longer and cost a lot more money than it should have, because they didn't understand how it was working in our municipality. So we've had a consolidated zoning bylaws, so we'll have the same zoning bylaws across the municipality, because for the past few years they've been different in Seabright, different in Bobcaygeon, different in Lindsay. So if we have some consistency across the board, then they'll know what they're getting into, and they can work together with the community to build the housing. We definitely need it, and Habitat for Humanity has an amazing track record of getting homes for people. People can actually buy their own homes from Habitat. So it's a model that we need to work with, and as a current councillor, I've worked with them before in Bobcaygeon, and hopefully as mayor, I'll be able to work with them here as well.
Faye, we got that part. The Habitat, as far as I'm concerned, if they're there to help people with affordable housing, we need to be prepared to work with them. Now, they're right, to clean up the zoning issues will help. And I don't want to cut any ribbons or red tapes or anything, or cut any of the process they have to go through. But I'm certainly willing to talk to them and listen to them and see what they're proposing and what they think they can do. Surely, God, we can find some land somewhere without taking farmland and ruining other people's lives. We got to find it. We got to use Habitat. If they're willing to work with us, we need to be willing to work with them.
Okay, once again, vote for Jim.ca is my website. The Habitat for Humanity, the thing that scares the city planning department about that kind of organization full of volunteers and innovative ideas is the innovative ideas are very risky. If the city has never seen some construction material or something that's being done that's new, more efficient, they get a little worried. So that's where the public input, if we explain things like new forms of concrete, new recyclable materials that come along, things that build houses quicker and get them in place with the zoning bylaws that are now very much improved from where they were, we can then advocate for these volunteer organizations once we get an idea of what they're up to. Because sometimes with volunteers and other things, you get something that is built like a doghouse, but it's more for a horse. So you got to have an idea of who it is that you're dealing with and partnering with. And then you got to let the city know that there's going to be some innovation there. Because innovation is what's going to drive us forward. Everybody's concerned about the price for your young grandkids and your other children. They're not going to be able to afford anything. And they can if we can cut back on the prices and the cost of the developer costs for the houses. The developers are set in their ways just like GM was before the crash in 2008. They built gas guzzlers and then they hit a wall. Innovation changed that and they're all back selling electric cars now. We can do the same with housing. But we have to have somebody in the leadership role who understands innovation isn't scary, has his finger on the pulse of the new generation, and gets them into the trades as well, because the Habitat for Humanity does one thing well, and that trains the young people and gets them interested in the trades. And we have nobody interested in the trades below the age of 20. I guarantee you that. So that's the major problem here. We got to do everything all at once because technology will change so quickly, and the kids need to get interested in these things. So that's one thing that I will do a little bit differently, is get the people interested in what's going on. Thank you.
Hi. I look at an opportunity in tiny homes. I think this would be a perfect fit for humanity, for them, the city, and builders, and people that really want to take the time. I look down south. Jimmy Carter's still building homes for people that need homes. I think that as a community, if we're going to actually truly build our community, That's one of the areas that we have to spend a lot of attention in, is providing homes that are affordable for the people that need them, that don't have the bigger incomes. And tiny homes seems to fit into that category. Nice part is you only need a 600 to 800 square foot home. We have ample amounts of land, city-owned land, your land, within the city limits. And I'd like to see if I happen to become mayor, we do a project and we build 10, 20 tiny homes together. And then we see how that evolves. And if that model works, okay, then we can expand on it. Then we can build homes for people ages 16, 35, 35 to 55, and people 55 plus. It's, again, I've seen so many of them. You can build a tiny home for under $10,000. Musk, the billionaire, the richest man in the world, has them. Prefabs. You pop them up, they're ready to move in almost. So again, like Jim said, there are innovations out there. We just have to take that walk and find the partners that want to do it. Thank you.
I'm Doug, and I see no barrier to working with someone like Habitat for Humanity. How could you not work with them and the good works that they do? So I would have no problem welcoming them into the city of Kawartha Lakes, working with them to ease any of the problems they have going through the planning department and the planning process. I think our Planning Act right now calls for 10% of any development to be affordable housing. So there is land that they could use in new developments, working with the developers. And I think if we move in that direction, we would be able to meet most of our goals and also provide a venue for them. And hopefully they would come back and do more houses in the future. So I'm in favor of obviously working with them, communicating with them, easing them through the planning phases, and helping them in every way we can while doing it responsibly. Thank you.
For our third question, an anonymous business asks, how do you feel about the incidence of crime and theft within Kawartha Lakes, and what do you think can be done to reduce crime rates? We're going to start with Kathleen and move left to right.
Okay, so that's a good one for me. I'm a business owner, and I actually have had things stolen from me. And this is in Bobcaygeon, so it's not even where we've had a lot of problems in Lindsay. So it's happening everywhere. The issue stems from mental health, to drugs, to theft and break-ins and everything that's happening. And so it's also violent crimes. Even today, I was out for dinner in between meet and greet, and I got a call from my husband. He was over on Ken Street. He thought I was there, and he called the police because there was fights happening on the street. So, you know, we have to look at the problems that started it, which is mental health, and then the drug issues. We have a problem right now. Luckily, the town isn't quite as bad as the other areas. There's other towns that are very bad. But I know within Bobcaygeon, we have a drug house, and this is where our crime has come from. And I know in Lindsay it is too. The problem, why they can't keep them in, is because legislation. So right now, the police are frustrated. I'm on the OPP board. The police are just as frustrated as we are because they can't even take them in and hold them anymore. They let them go. So we have to work with the province and the feds to get this tighter rules because they've loosened the rules. They allow people to do anything right now, and this can't happen. So Neighborhood Watch, Crime Stoppers, all those other things have to start happening. We have to work together as a community. It can't just be up to the police anymore because the police's hands are tied, and that's not right. So mental health is the biggest thing. We need support for that. So that comes from the province. So if we can build more mental health, and then we have an addiction problem as well, but that stems from the mental health, and then we have the breakdown of the theft and the robbery around here. So that's what I know, and that's how I will do it, with working with the province, working with the communities, Crime Stoppers, and not the other one, Community Watch. Okay, so thanks.
Well, again, I agree with a lot of what's said. Mental health, drug addiction, they're all problems. But we also have people that just seem to think they can take our things for free. Some are driven because of finances. But I do believe we have to go after the province to correct the penalties for what they do. The police bring them in and then they send them home because there's nothing to hold them on. There's no penalty. That's got to be looked at. So I'm not disagreeing again with what's being said. It isn't just in the towns. It's out in the rural area too. It's out there and we see it. Equipment being stolen, parts of tractors or whatever being stolen. Something's got to be done to stop it. We can't all put up security cameras, and even if you do, usually they're protected from that somehow too. So again, I agree with mental health, drug addiction, but there's other reasons. But we've got to get the province to change the penalties for what happens.
All right, once again, vote for Jim.ca. This reminiscent of the first Flood movie. John Rambo comes into town, in a small rural town, and the sheriff's right on top of him. Get out of here. What are you doing here? The police are run ragged. Of course, the pandemic really showed them what people think. And it's sometimes hard to be a police officer. Leveraging them would be an option, but we also have to consider that every single person, even our children, are suffering mentally. So if we can't control it in our own homes, it'll be difficult at a municipal level to be able to leverage change. Now, mental health encompasses way more than a lot of politicians are capable of understanding. So we have to partner with, my wife's a nurse, so we partner with CAMH or some other institution that has actual working solutions and start with the symptom, which is people are committing crimes because they're moving away from something to something else, which is drugs, maybe. They want something better, and the only option to them is drugs. And it gives them the reward they want, but it also ruins their life at the same time. And there are working models now. The experts in the psychology field have realized that if you address the symptom, which is crime, you're just throwing money away. You address the actual cause of the problem, which is people's lives. They don't have anything to look forward to. So they get to the point where they're up against a wall on one side, and they got people in the community who think they're bad people, and they commit crimes. There is a solution, but we all have to be on board with the understanding of what the actual problem is. And a lot of times it's easy to recognize a criminal, or what you think is a criminal, but in many instances that's what causes the problem in the first place. So as a community, we have to first understand what we're trying to fix, and that would be the mental health of everybody. And as we grow and as we come together as a community, we will start to see the improvements in the areas of crime. And it won't take just police with guns, it'll take people who can help out. So that would be something. Thank you.
Me again. Well, I'm very I should say my wife is very fortunate. Sometimes she thinks not. We have 14 rooms where I live. And she thought, I'm going to rent these rooms all night. This is her business, it's not mine. So we contacted social services because these people need a place to live. Over the course of about the last, since 2017, I think she's had about 70 people come through our house. Out of that, you get to talk to them and you get to learn. A lot of them have drug addictions caused by doctors issuing pills called opioids. Then again, the government turns around and they say, oh, we're going to get you off of those opioids, and the street opioids. We're going to open up meth clinics. So we take them off of that and we put them on synthetic heroin. Then we open up needle places that the government again can keep these people on drugs hooked their entire life. What we try to do, and I think it works, if you give these people respect, you give them a place where they're comfortable and they feel safe, eventually they stop doing what they're doing and they realize that there's a better life out there than going to a needle or taking pills or getting drunk. And a lot of them become productive citizens again. So again, I look at this as the role of the churches They need to get back involved in our community. They used to do a great job mentoring and helping people that needed help. I think as a city, we need to start looking inward at ways that we can get back to what worked, not what government thinks does, but what we do. Thank you.
Hello again. A thorny problem. We've heard about how the province doesn't step up to the plate with the judiciary to punish people when they're caught. I feel sorry for people who are addicted, and I feel badly for people who have mental health challenges. But I think as a municipality, we need to protect the citizenry who are not afflicted. And how do we do that? I think we do it through things like Neighborhood Watch and those types of organizations, Crime Stoppers, and all of these organizations that exist and can help us at least keep our own communities safe. The other part of the problem, I think, is policing. I know that we pay through the city an extra stipend to the OPP every year so that they will patrol the waterways, the rail trails, and also do street patrols in the downtown of Fenelon Falls, Bobcaygeon, Omemee, and Woodville. They do it in the summertime when things are at their busiest. And that has helped reduce graffiti, break-and-enters, and other minor crimes. So perhaps the solution is, as we're growing as a community and we're going to need more policing, is that we need to up what we're doing with those police services and have them do more street patrols, both summer and winter. Thank you.
30 years a cop, and I don't know what the answer is. It's not the province. It's the federal government. The federal government runs the courts. They run the judicial system. It's not the province. It's not people suffering from the effects of mental illness. Now, some of these yahoos might have a mental health problem. 99.99% of the people suffering from the effects of mental illness, the big ones are anxiety and depression. They're not your problem. They need help, and we should increase our funding to them. Increased patrols, absolutely. And we've extended the police force in the last budget. We added 2 more to the police force. But until they get some level of authority to actually lock somebody up, these guys are back on the road before the cops finish doing his paperwork. It's just that quick a turnaround. So there is no easy solution. Certainly patrolling your neighborhoods, your mere presence will encourage them to go someplace else, and they'll get tired of doing it in your neighborhood. Absolutely works. Neighborhood Watch works. But I've talked to the chief many times about this. There is simply no easy solution. It's got to be community, and we've got to get respect back into everybody's life. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. This question comes from the LDCC. How would you assist both small and large businesses to grow within Kawartha Lakes to increase employment? Please provide a specific example of how you would do so. And we'll start with Faye.
I don't know what you could do for them right now. They've all got signs out trying to hire people, and people aren't going in and taking them. As far as I'm concerned, the council has to listen to the businesses and see what we can do to assist them. But at this point, anybody see any business that doesn't have a sign up looking to hire people right now? That's the biggest issue, trying to get people back out to work. The businesses have been hit hard through COVID, but we all have been. So now it's time that we pull it all together again. If that means trying to get people into the right jobs, we've got to help people recruit people, then we do that. The businesses, if there's anything that the municipality can do to assist them to get to where they need to be, the municipality needs to work with them. Every business is important in our communities, whether it's in Lindsay or Fennel Falls or in Cameron, they're all important. So we need to be ready to listen to them, work with them, and do what we can to help them survive and get the employees they need. And maybe that means a good HR department. You give me the finger here? That's okay.
All right, I'm not going to do the website, but one of the biggest problems we have right now is people during the pandemic were wise to the minimum wage not paying for their quality of life. Talk to any employee who's quit recently, and it's about quality of life. They don't have the ability to put their head down and get paid barely minimum wage anymore. Nobody wants to do that. So it's a real problem with our brick and mortar style of business. But there's an online solution. One thing we learned during COVID was how to do home delivery services for our restaurants and our bars. They start generating revenue streams from the online delivery service. And there's a lot of kids out there who love sitting in front of a screen. They could then be paid to sit at home and administer the home delivery based stuff. So the business can stick to the people that walk in the door, and then the other side of the business, which is still a steady revenue stream of home delivery of the foods and other things, we can incorporate that into some sort of a business taxation, because we need to stop taxing the small businesses the way we are. They're paying way too much for rent and taxes. The city can deal with that and also incorporate some model where they can invigorate these younger kids to work for them but not have to be on site. So that's a major change in the way we think. But COVID laid it bare. Every single one of us has ordered something online. That's the new model. The big corporations are sucking that money out and we're getting none of it. So let's start taxing those people who run the software that do these business models. That's a modern approach on how we can keep our small business diversified in their revenue. Instead of just walking in, you can also support them online. So that's a big solution in my mind. But it takes the council to understand that. And we need some modern thinking. That's about it. So now I'm going to put the website at the end. Voteforjim.ca.
Thank you. My approach, like again, I'm business. In my own business, we actually thrived in, and I don't mean to be, I just want to give you an example. We actually thrived, doubled and tripled the amount of sales and the amount of GTA people that were coming to our business to rent, ride, ATVs, everything. I honestly believe that if we're going to help the small business, mid-sized businesses, we have to have a reason for people to come and explore Kawartha Lakes, to enjoy Kawartha Lakes. That puts money into our small businesses and that. You can go to government and say, give us more money, give us some more money. That's out of yours and mine's pocket. It doesn't work. In my own case, because my wife says, you can't do this. And I said, yes, you can. I put 1,500 people per year through my business. I generated an extra $150,000 per year. And the model can work. We have to. We have the lakes, we have the rivers, we have snow in the wintertime, we have fishing, we have everything here. We have to promote the city to our customers to come, spend your money here, enjoy Kawartha Lakes, right? If we do want to make our businesses sound and be on sound footing, we have to create the reason to come to Kawartha Lakes. It's here. We just don't promote it out to the GTA. I do almost 50 ads every day into the GTA market. You would not believe the different varieties of people that do come. It's quite interesting, right? But all I'm saying, the opportunity is there. We just have to seize it. And that's what we've been missing. Thank you.
Hi. I believe the question was, what would we do to promote our businesses, to hire more people, to grow? And I think we have some of the organization already in place. The city has an economic development department. and we can work with BIAs, chambers of commerce, and get businesses involved through those groups and work with them to find out what their requirements are, what their needs are, and how we can help them to get where they want to go. It asks for an example, and I think one of the examples we have at the city is something called the Summer Company. And it is where a number of businesses, I think it's somewhere between 8 and 10, come and go through a series of workshops. And over the course of the summer, they are taught how to grow their business. They're taught how to manage their business in a better way. And this has been a very successful program. What we need to do is maybe broaden that program through our economic development department and working with the businesses, the chambers, and the BIAs. Thank you.
Sometimes it's nice to go almost last, because that way you hear all the good ideas. Excellent idea with business development. They are working hard. BIAs, every town should have one as far as I'm concerned. They work hard for the downtown business owners. They work in partnership with the city for decorations downtown to make the downtown more attractive so that people will go down there. We could probably up the ante because I'm sure they'd be more than happy to do that with decorations. Parking, doesn't matter what community you're in, is always an issue. If the people can't park, they're not going to stop at your stores. We've got to address the parking issues. With the last parking study, I don't think we did a very good job of that. The consultants wanted to say, well, what happens when we have automated vehicles? They're just going to drop you off and they come back and get you. Yeah, so we've got to do better with our downtown parking. Basically, they need people, and they need people downtown, and you encourage that by making the downtown an attractive, safe place to be. Up the policing down there. Thank you.
So, nobody's touched on this. We all live and work locally here, so we have to start supporting local. We have to stop going to Peterborough and going to Costco all the time. If you want to have businesses here who can apply, who can employ people here, we need to start supporting local, or we will have empty downtowns. You know, everybody needs to understand this. I am an employer. This weekend, I only had 6 people to work. It was busy and we almost couldn't handle it. The Sunday we had to close because I didn't have enough people. Normally I run with 35 people in the summertime. So this is the thing. You go to Bobcaygeon or any of these towns, the restaurants are not open full-time because we don't have anybody to work. Part of the problem is housing. People come up here, there's no affordable housing. So if we can work with the developers to make sure that there is housing, that they are building on their developments, and also putting some apartments up in the upstairs. A few years ago, I know that we were going to work on that, but I don't see where it's actually come, where we've actually moved forward on it. So we need the housing. We need to keep our young people here. I have a teenager here. I have a 20-year-old. They both think that they won't be able to live here. Why? You know, we need the people who've gone away to start coming back so that we have people supporting our communities. So we can't have a community of everyone's aging and no one to take care of them. So we have to really start supporting our local businesses, or the downtowns will be empty and no pretty downtowns to visit. I've worked with economic development for years, even before I was on council. Worked with Regionate Tourism, Starter Company, Summer Company, all of these. We have amazing programs. But everyone who's here, and all your neighbors, all your friends, start supporting and shopping local. That's key.
Our last question of the evening comes from Kawartha Art Gallery. It's a bit of a long one, a long preamble here. Since 2010, the city has invested at a cost of about $1 million on RFPs, proposals, plans for the cultural sector. Given the economic significance of the cultural sector, cited by Mayor Letham as $1 billion economy, this was certainly money well spent, especially in light of the ongoing and projected population increase in the municipality. The current cultural master plan is for the 2020 to 2030 time span, so we're almost 1/3 of the way through its lifetime. Yet cultural organizations consistently run into roadblocks with city staff when trying to implement programs and to determine how to seek funding support to remain operationally viable and meaningful. Meanwhile, comparable municipalities in Southern Ontario wisely invest substantially in their cultural organizations with demonstrated elevation in economic and social benefits. How will you ensure staff are more supportive of cultural organizations as they try to boost the economic performance of their sector in Kawartha Lakes? We'll start with Jim.
You're gonna put it in the middle?
Well, arts and culture. How many people here have paintings and stuff that they turn to every day when they're depressed? There's a lot of stuff that we benefit from the culture and arts system. My niece is an artist. She can draw anything. She's doing wedding portraits now for thousands of dollars. I don't know how she does it. Basically, the problem that we have is that the city staff, with the consultants' reports, all the things that they have been doing with the money, have amounted to very little in the form of motion or progress when it comes to our arts and our tourism. So all those reports have to be acted on, and how do we act on them? We have to pick something, and unfortunately with the modern way of doing things, you don't know what somebody's going to find attractive and say, hey, everybody come look at this installation that's in Lindsay. It's amazing. You have no idea. It changes every single day. But I forgot to bring this up earlier, but if you want to have a revenue stream and you have a zoo, they put cameras on the gorillas giving birth, and that generates millions of dollars for them just by YouTube proceeds. There's a modern approach to getting involved with sending the message out that the city of Kawartha Lakes has one of the best whatever art installations. We got a Fenelon Falls that has one of the most beautiful falls in all the region. We got bridges. We got the Dalton County Library that nobody knows about. It's one of the most beautiful libraries in our northern region. Have you ever been up there? It's beautiful. The people look after it up there by themselves. The city kind of does, but we got to start putting effort that pays off. Like maybe getting some landscape companies who will do pro bono work in a regulated manner so that everything kind of looks good. Instead of letting somebody do something that looks horrible, they got hand-painted signs for their business and their arts installation. We could actually put an actual sign up that looks great. It's all about making it work, making it attractive, and that can be done modern ways. Thank you.
I envision, okay, and I do envision, the Ox Community Center being turned into Kawartha Lakes Entertainment Center, where they hold live concerts, they hold art exhibits, they hold just about everything that we can showcase from our community. It's on Highway 7, it's close to get to, it's got lots of parking, it needs a new roof. A new roof, that's it, right? So I looked at that and I said, and if the council decides the new council, and I'm not there, because if I'm the mayor, that'll never come down that building. I envision, if they don't want to sell it, let somebody turn it into what it can be. Don't tear it down. It was built by the community. It's in an ideal, perfect situation. But that's one location. We need another one up north for the people that go to the cottages, that they can go out on a Sunday afternoon or a Saturday and go see what we as the community and the artists can show them. Thank you.
Arts and culture is as important as any other activity that the city undertakes. Have we underfunded it? Yes, probably we have. But we also have a very large municipality, and we have a large number of cultural centers. If you just think about it here in Lindsay, this building as an example, the Old Jail Museum. There are a number of places right here in Lindsay that qualify as arts and culture. You go to Bob Cajun, you have the Boyd Gallery, and you have Settlers Village. In Fenelon Falls, you have Maryborough Lodge. You go to any one of our little communities and you will find something that's dedicated to arts and culture. We also have volunteers who do a lot of work to support those and keep them healthy. What we have to do as council is keep them going and support those volunteers and get arts and culture to be more in the forefront than it is now. People come and enjoy it. Last year in Fenelon Falls, Maryborough Lodge drew almost 30,000 people. And that's a huge number for any little community. So I think we support arts and culture and push it to the forefront and start funding it more effectively than we are right now. Thank you.
I've been dealing with the arts and cultural community for about 12 years now. Quite frankly, it's like herding cats. We need to form an association at both ends. The cultural community, the arts community, they've started to come together. What I would envision is an arts and cultural community the same way that the BIA runs. And we do matching funding. Now the matching funding from their side can certainly come in labor. And I don't care where you start the dollar off. You know, be it $100,000 for all the arts and culture right across the city, which is peanuts. But start off somewhere. And then once that money goes into their pockets, let them decide where it should be spent. That'll get them working together. Our sporting communities work together. So when we're dealing with hockey, we deal with one group of people. We don't deal with every individual team. We deal with one group of people. Same thing with our baseball and our soccer. They have organizations. We've got to get the arts and cultural community to work together, and then we've got to give them some level of funding to start it off and take it forward. I think if we do that, the arts and culture community will continue to grow and thrive. Thank you.
If you're elected mayor, you've got to work for free, but you expect everyone else to work for free.
There's no questions from the gallery,
I
please.
didn't ask a question. I said a
Okay, then get out.
Sit right here.
Okay, so I'm actually on the task force there for the Arts and Culture Center, so I know what they're talking about. I'm also on the North Lakes Arts Council, and I have supported artists my whole life. So I've worked in the music industry, we have live music in my business, all those things. We have huge murals at my business. There is one thing that Pat Dunn said that was very correct. Sometimes the organizations don't work together. So what the issue and the question was, how do we get city staff to work better with the organization? Because we have one organization who is part of the cultural center task force who was working with the city. I think they found frustration because I sat through all the meetings we had some reports come forward to us where I think that we could have done a better job. The people who actually work within the arts and cultural system. Because arts and culture is a huge, huge business. Live music, art, plays, all of that. You'll see things happening around here, and that's what we need to rely on. Is part of our tourism. You know, food, that's art. Painting is art. So the city needs to realize that this is actual viable business, and they do, but sometimes the priority might be to a developer. Our economic development team does work together, but they need to put more of an emphasis on the arts and culture, because we have a pretty amazing one. Did you know we have an arts and culture trail? We have an amazing trail all through the whole area, from different art galleries, different studios, different installations, but probably nobody really even knows about it. So we just have to promote these things more so people actually use what we have. That's it. Woo!
I am a member, well, I'm a director, secretary, whatever, treasurer, of the Fenelon Agricultural Society. The Fenelon Agricultural Society has recognized the importance of art and culture. If you have not been to the Fenelon Fairgrounds on Labor Day weekend, you need to go. The art festival there is amazing. The crowds are there, and it's amazing. And it is not costing you any money on your municipal tax dollars. This is volunteers. Then you add to that now that we have the Grove Theater there.
Yes.
They have plays, they have shows, they have comedians there all summer long. They have matinees, they have evening shows. And it's great. It's right there at the fairgrounds. So we've already shown that we support art and culture. And I would certainly continue to do so. But mark your calendars, folks, for Labor Day weekend. If you're into art, you got to go to the Fennel Fairgrounds.
That actually ends the Q&A portion of the evening. A sincere thanks to all our candidates for the responses. You now have the remainder of the evening to finish up any questions for the candidate of your choice during the second half of our meet and greet. And then at about 8:50, we'll remind people to go home. Thank you very much.